All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Friday, September 15th, 2023. Today is OPEX day, options expiry day. This is when the futures contracts roll over. We talked about that. No more September contract that goes and actually expires today. We'll be running into the December contract. So usually get some elevated volume. There is no, kind of hint one way or another. It's just you get elevated volume. That's really it when it comes to OPEX. In terms of the statistics, let me go and take a look here at the almanac so I can give you the recent statistics. So here you go. September triple witching. The Dow is up 11 of the last 18, but down 7 of the last 10. So that's what we're looking at in terms of statistics or kind of trends in terms of OPEX. Glad to have you on board. Kind of a frustrating morning this morning. I'm going to go over a couple things, but I'm not going to go too in depth because when it comes to the actual trades this week, we do a recap every weekend where I go over every single one, what we did right, what we did wrong, what can we learn for moving forward. So the recap video will be posted tomorrow, and I'll go ahead and talk about exactly what happened this week. And it's been a tough one. The week isn't over, but very, very frustrating. A tough one all around, but we'll do the best we can. I went ahead and posted on the Discord watches and charts regarding our positions open and kind of an update on everything. But very, very weird one and very tough one. So let's go around the horn and talk about it. Dow futures down about 17, NASDAQ down about 47. This was green overnight. Then it started pulling back. S&P 45.49. You have the Russell down 0.38%, 1879. What a day yesterday. The Dow was up nearly 400 points. 105.35 on the dollar. That's red. VIX just bounced a little bit, up 0.62%. Not a lot of fear out there. 1291. 10-year Treasury yields continue to climb, 4.324. Keep in mind, guys, yields were up yesterday. Dollar was up yesterday. VIX was red. Retail sales were up. Remember, PPI was elevated. That was higher than expected. CPI was higher than expected this week in terms of a year-over-year basis on the headline number. A lot of news that you would think would be automatic sell-off, but what a push yesterday, right? So again, like I've talked about, it isn't the one-for-one correlation in terms of rates and the dollar every time. Sometimes it gets a little wacky. Crude oil, 90.12. We expected crude oil to go higher. That's why we played XLE. We'll talk about that tomorrow once we recap it. Highest since November 2022. Gasoline futures $2.72, down 62.62%. Excuse me. Gold futures are up 19.38, up 0.31%. Silver futures down about 1%, 23.24 this morning. Copper futures $3.80, down 0.42%. Euro dollar 106.53. We hit TP1. This was the actual signal on it. So this one actually made me feel a little more solace, was the fact that I did not trade this person, but again, this was a signal. I don't trade Forex. I don't have a broker. So I just want to give a heads up. 107.32 was our fill price. And again, it was something really since the 5th of September. So you're talking about 10 days now. Again, our target was 106.32. We had to actually widen that stop. It was back and forth, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then we finally got to TP1, which was 106.32. That's right at 100 pips on that one. If you caught it, congratulations. If you didn't, no worries. It was one of those that just took a while. That's the good news for Forex. There's no expiry there. You can hold as long as you need to. Options, it ain't enough to be on to be right. You got to be on time. That's the hard thing, and we're going to talk about that this week. Microsoft was in the money yesterday. We talked about that in the morning. And we said, hey, you take it, you take it. I think it got as high as around 2%, if that, maybe 3% in the morning, and then it just sold off. And it's just been chopping around. I still have the 340 calls for today. It was green this morning. It was green yesterday, in the money. So in terms of target, 342.50 is the target that I have, at least in the short term, because it's still within this channel here. I mean, just pretty textbook, just waiting for that move. Got to 340.86. Just tough all around. XLE, another one, which was right there breaking out, 83.82. This was overnight, and then it pulled back. And again, very nice trend line to the upside. We're going to talk about that this weekend. Dollar yen is up 42 pips. Pound dollar is down about 18. Bitcoin is down about 1%, and Ethereum down about 1% on the future side. So very weird kind of choppy tape. We broke out of the 45.50 level on the S&P, got to 45.66. Retest that. So that's where we are. Let's take a look at the S&P in general. 45.50 is a new zone. That's right between 46.22. So 45.50 to 46.22, that's your zone. That 46.22-ish is that July 27th high, or July highs. And then we pulled back and we got back above 45.50. Again, remember that inverse head and shoulders, that's been the head and shoulders, pattern has been invalidated. So 45.50, I do expect more to come. 46.30, 46.25 would be that breakout. And I said, even on Twitter, new all-time highs by the end of the year. And it looks like we're trekking there. But the actual action has been absolutely shit for the most part. Pardon my language. But you see the inverse head and shoulders. Could we get a little more? Possibly. It's just the chop is killer. It's absolutely killer. And like I said, we're going to go over all this stuff this morning. But, you know, just looking at it here, my God, it makes you want to pull your hair out because we started the week so well. JPM was 20% from last week, which should have been 3 for 3 and be done. And it wasn't. And that's the name of the game. We talked about trader psychology before. You try not to take it personally, obviously. But the idea is that you have to give this information to others to help others. Now, one thing is if I get hit, that's just me. But others getting hit, that's something to me that I don't find acceptable. We just have to be better in terms of what can we do. I mean, the only thing I would have changed, now hindsight 2020, we could have taken Microsoft at break even. We could have taken XLE at break even. But those stocks were moving. That's the thing. It was moving the way we wanted to. You hold it, and that's kind of the risk. This is day trading, guys. It is not all sunshine and rainbows. I've said it many times. Sometimes it just rains, even with preparation. Just tough. We just have to keep it moving and see what we can do. The market is not open yet. We got about 23 minutes. Anything could change. Of course, as I have the Microsoft 340 calls, what happens? We get a headline from HSBC. And you cannot make this stuff up. HSBC initiated coverage on Microsoft at a hold with a price target of 347. They sent that at 6 in the morning this morning. Look at this yesterday. We were at 340.03 on the Adobe beat on earnings. Nothing you could do. Nothing you could do. Good morning, guys. Just wanted to let you guys know again, we'll dive into it a little more into the market recap for the week. Look at Apple go. Today is the first day that the iPhones have been out for sale. I don't think they'll give us any numbers on initial sales or anything like that. In terms of Apple, what are we looking for? That's really the deal. Is this a low 170 zone? We'll call it that. You need to get above 180 before we do anything because that's your 20-day. And you still have a downside gap here right around 166. So you're kind of in that neutral middle camp. Not much to do there. Kind of want to stop the bleeding in a sense. You kind of don't want to add more risk just because. Let's see what OPEX does. Let's see how we churn this info here. But the clock is ticking. That's the problem. So if you have any expiring contracts like I do, every minute counts. Every little bit of time counts. We need some kind of push in energy. We need a push in Microsoft. We even tried to short. Remember, we tried JPM shorts, and that reversed on us on an upgrade on Morgan Stanley. So it's just both ways, really difficult, really difficult. But tomorrow, we get the weekend, we'll recap it. We'll start with a plan again, and we got to make up for everything else. And it's tough because we had I think a 7-win trade streak or 9-win trade streak, something like that, 9, and that's ended, unfortunately. So what's the goal? Start a new streak, start from scratch, get better. And we just have to be vigilant and just hope that market conditions hold because that's really the only thing we cannot control. But that's where we are this morning, guys. In terms of NASDAQ, let's take a look at it. This one we got wicked out of. Remember that futures one? And now it got above our target and we got to 719. I mean, man, what can you do? 719 pre-market. Now you're at 624. I still say NASDAQ goes higher. But trading the futures this week has absolutely been a grind. Um, Man, I'm not happy it's Friday, but then I am happy it's Friday because at least we can actually just kind of move on from this week. All things being considered, Microsoft bouncing a little bit. Let's take a look at Dixie above 105. What do I expect from here? Remember we talked about Dixie on the dollar. This was back in, what was it, August, July 15th. We were going to get a dead cat bounce in the dollar right around July 15th. And so far we did. The problem is that where's the resistance? 105 was the level that I said that needed to be rejected. You're still above a lot of major moving averages. You're about to golden cross on the dollar. That is not good because we had a death cross here back in January. So the price has been moving towards the upside, as we know. The 100, the 50, the 200, you're above the 20. If this 50 crosses above the 200, the dollar is going to be gaining a lot more traction. The question here is, does the market really care? The Dixie's up, but the S&P was breaking out. So I guess that correlation is kind of broken for now. Even yields have gone higher and the S&P went higher. It's green this week, so it's going to be interesting to see what the bulls and the bears do moving forward. Tesla 280 calls, break about above 278. I'm waiting for the break of 280 on Tesla because if we do, we got a gap fill at 289.12. So that would be my target, the 290s. I don't see myself getting into any positions this week, but I'll keep an eye on Tesla. I will keep it 280 level. I'm watching it, but to fill it, I just prefer not to. I would love to get one more trade, but it's just been not most optimal conditions, not the most ideal conditions for the week. We just have to wait. I'd rather just sit on my hands, and that's where we are. In terms of ARM, a lot of people talk about IPOs. Last IPO I participated in, and by the day it actually released, was Lyft. Not the best. So with ARM, the recommendation, in my opinion, and what I think, is wait for earnings. Wait for their first earnings report. There's other chip manufacturers out there, as we know, NVIDIA, AMD, the like. There's a lot of competition out there. Granted, ARM has a lot of backing, but I'd wait on ARM, to be honest. Let's wait for that first earnings report. Remember Snowflake? Snowflake was a big IPO, and then it fell, and then Warren Buffett bought into it, the whole nine, and then that was a little choppy too. So let's take a look at Snow since that IPO'd. Let's go to the weekly max. You IPO'd what? Right around, we'll call it 250. You're now at 162. And that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 earnings reports. And it's still down. So again, maybe wait for the earnings reports because you did get to 429 off that initial one. So what you could do is maybe ahead of the earnings or after the earnings, take a look and see if that's even something that you'd be interested in. Knowing their numbers, knowing their books, kind of important if you're going to be an investor in the actual stock. Again, unless you're trying to trade it, I just think there's better opportunities out there. Remember, SMH is the whole semiconductor ETF. That's easier to own. We talked about that as the top 10 stock of 2023. The question remains, what will ARM do? Will ARM attract more money, new, fresh money, or kind of rotate, getting sales out of other sectors to fund the buys into ARM? That's really the question. So I would wait for the earnings before you do anything. Learn from my mistake. I bought Lyft thinking that, hey, Uber competition with ride sharing is going to be big. And then that thing fell. How can you do after their earnings? If you want to take a look at it, their IPO, I want to say was, let me see if I can bring this up. Their IPO was at 88. It is now at 11. Let that be a case study. Let that be a case study that IPOs they're not all Google, they're not all Alphabet, they're not Metaverse. So you get some tough ones, you get some good ones. It takes time to research. You need to get those earnings reports. You need to see the sector. That's really it. Just do your homework. That's the only thing you could say regarding IPOs. Yes, they get a lot of push in the beginning. A lot of people get excited. The financial networks talk about it. Having an IPO is definitely a good thing, and a successful one. A successful IPO would be where the actual IPO price and the closing price is above the IPO price. If it was below the IPO price, that's not considered a successful one. So yesterday's IPO of ARM was a successful one, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Apple is on the move this morning, hit 177. It is up about $1 or so, $1.25 or so. Not exactly gangbusters, but it is an OPEX day. Let's see what we get. Seeing the NASDAQ bounce a little bit off the lows. S&P at 45.46, kind of hugging that breakout point of 45.50. So again, let's see what we get. So much to do, so much to watch for. Let's see if OPEX can save the day. Can we get that last minute, end of the week push into energy and Microsoft? That would be absolutely lovely. But we have to temper our expectations too. All right, so we'll go ahead and leave it there. I'm going to do the recap of the week in terms of all the trades. It's a lot to talk about, a lot of lessons that we need to go over and what we need to learn from them. So, the dark, what is it, the saying that Aaron Rodgers said, the night is darkest before the dawn. It's the fact. Tough one, but we're going to come back and be stronger for it. The day is not over, so we'll see what we get this morning. In terms of Microsoft, got to get above 340.86. If we get to 342, that'd be wonderful. XLE, all over the place. 93.24, down a couple of cents on the ask. Got to get above 93.82. I have the 94 calls. It just upsets me just staring at them, and you're just like, just chopping. I've done this for 9 years, and it's still annoying sometimes when you're like, the target, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get. You hit the target, and then still, it's not enough to be right. You have to be right on time. This is why trading is so difficult. It is so difficult. It is a battle of will. It is a battle of your mind. That's really it. And we just have to keep it moving. Let's see what we get. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for the market recap, and we'll see you then. Cheers.